All right, guys, here we go again. And it's always like when I come on this thing, man, I get a little nervous. Um, it's like I'm going on this big production thing. But let's get into this thing again. Today, I want to talk to you guys about a couple of different things. And my headlines today, or my items today, guys, we're going to be talking about the residential construction business, guys. Um, and a couple of items I'm going to discuss here is going to be custom homes versus production versus semi-production. And then we're going to kind of go into contracts, what kind of contracts um, that we can get into. Now, guys, behind me is my classroom. I teach classes here at Lawson State. So I need to get a particular time that I come on here and I just start talking about this stuff. And I need to have a consistent time. So I'm just kind of filling this out. I'm also filling out the software. I actually found another software that's actually free, so I'm glad I didn't go ahead and purchase this StreamYard that I have. I'm probably gonna have to try out this other software before I ultimately make a decision. Um, and the reason I like to come on here and talk about this stuff, especially building, is because I've been noticing that it's getting very difficult to build today. I mean, I'm trying to figure, and I'm just trying to put my thumb on it, just trying to figure out what it is. I'm trying to place it. And it is very difficult. And I'm thinking that, there are more, you have more savvy homeowners and the expectations are higher. That could be something, but the contractors is very hard to find contractors. There's not a lot of contractors out there, especially in the licensed trades, the MEPs, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. And you definitely you can't find Americans, to be honest with you, in the non-licensed trades, and like drywall, framing, things like that. So those people don't exist, and we're not telling our kids to go out here and do these things, in the university, which is one reason that I'm here, trying to get people to see that, getting these guys to see that there's another option that you can take. And so, and I like to come on here and talk about this stuff because, you know, I want you guys to succeed. We gotta have more successful builders, um, builders and subcontractors, guys. I'm not just pushing building, but I'm pushing subcontracting too. So let's look at this right here. I actually got an article here. Um, Let me just kind of pop it down right here for a second. I'm still testing out this software, guys, but let's look at this right here. Somebody put me on to this right here. A builder about a year ago. I think it's the guy over at he's over at what is it, Signature Homes. He kind of He said, why would anybody want to go into residential home building? And you guys can kind of read this article right here. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. I guess it don't get bigger. So I'm kind of stuck with it, right? But I can do this right here. I can. Let me see. I wonder would it do that. I may have to bring it over here and let me see if I can make it bigger over here and then take it over there. So you guys can kind of read a little bit better. This may be the way to do it. All right, there we go. Well, technology is great. All right, it says, let's kind of look at this thing right here. It says, working in the building and the construction trades is a challenging career. There are high productivity demands on the workforce to meet deadlines as well as working conditions that can often be in the extreme danger if strict safety guidelines aren't followed. According to the July report from the Centers of Disease Control, the stress from these factors, coupled with several others, are taking their toll on the construction workforce in the worst possible way. The suicide rate for construction workers is the second highest of all industry. Framing, fishing, and forestry was first. Wow, fishing. I thought fishing was somewhere that you just really kind of relax a little bit. Um, Let me kind of break this down too. But let me see. The report showed that 53.3 construction workers out of every 100,000 fall to suicide. A stark difference in the overall suicide rate of 12.93%. Now, this right here actually talks about the sub trades. So the sub trades is not talking about builders. I actually thought it was talking about builders, but this within itself, guys. You look at some of the issues that these guys are having. as well as the builders, it's probably tenfold when you get to a residential home builder. And I'm not just, I hadn't seen reports, but being a residential home builder, you're dealing with other things like making a profit, making profits and being able to sustain your lifestyle. Um, Now, before I go into this right here, I want to kind of talk about the different type of builders because I go off on a real big tangent, guys. And then I kind of go out of order, and then it kind of makes things kind of bad. But let's talk about what is the first builder is going to be your. Let's see, it's going to be your custom guy, and your custom builder is that's when you build a unique house, and it's specific to a land or a site. A custom home is a site-specific home built from a unique set of plans for the wishes of a specific client. All right. Generally work collaboratively with an architect, in our case, a designer. In most cases, if you're over in Mountain Brook, you probably got an architect 90% of the time. But some custom builders may offer design build services. So they may offer the whole thing. They may design it and build and everything. I just want you guys to kind of look at, let me just see if we got any other definitions, anything like that I want to see. But your custom builder is going to be your guy. Back in the day, it was the dude in the truck. He came out there. I always do that. He came out there. He knew he had a plethora of subcontractors. He came out there, and he was in his truck, had all this stuff in the truck, kind of watched the site, and he stuck with that house from the beginning to the end. He was there at the beginning, and he engaged with the homeowners. During that time, guys, it probably took us about that might have been 20 plus years ago, maybe 30 years ago, and those guys were doing really, really well when the market was good. And at that time, it probably took no more than 6 months to build a house, and that's a massive house. But those guys are, they failed to the ebbs and flows of the economy. So the economy was bad. People weren't going out getting houses, or they weren't purchasing houses, or the interest rates went up really, really high. You guys can remember when the interest rates were really high, because like even today, guys, the interest rates are traditionally low. But when the interest rates is 13, 14, 15%, stuff like that, people didn't, and people didn't have access to credit like they have today. So back during that time, the market really dictate whether or not you could sustain your lifestyle. And so if you couldn't get, in a custom builder, guys, you don't need to build no more than 3 or 4 houses a year. And he made decent money. He was able to sustain and take care of his family. But the problem is, what happens when you experience something like 2007, 2008, when the market just totally tanked. And we can get into a rabbit hole on that one too. And I think the government needs to just get out of making sure people can have a house. They just need to get out of that thing and just let the market pretty much handle itself. That's my take on that. But you got something like 2007, and these guys don't have any way of, they've created these lifestyles, they have these houses, their wives, etc. Now all of a sudden you can't pay your bills, and you got to let everything go to the bank. So that's I'd like to tell people that when you are a custom builder like that, and I know some people who grew up as a custom builder, they grew up and their dad, whoever was a custom builder, and that was their livelihood. It was feast or famine. They did really good when they did good. They did really bad when they did bad. And guys, you got to understand that when you building a house, man, I mean, every item on that house is expensive. The HVAC unit, the framing portion, and if you lose in some of those items, you lose big. And that's why, if you look at these old school custom builders, those guys are real tight on money. They don't like to spend money. They real tight, and they, they try to save for rainy days. And it's what you have. So that's kind of what you custom build. And like I said, the good thing is that when times are good, you do well. But when times are bad, you do extremely bad. So I'm trying to think if there's any other, and guys, if you guys ever hit the hope you guys come in here. I'm trying to see how this thing right here works as well, guys, because I know there's a way that you guys can come on here and yep, you can come on here and you can share your chats right there on that little thing there. But if you guys ever come in here, you see me going live. But I got to get a specific time so you guys will know when to come on. I probably got about 500 subscribers right now. So those are so back to the custom guy. Those are the items that we have on custom built. That like I said, it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. So you can see the pros and the cons on those. But the next builder you're gonna have, guys, is gonna be. Let me just see. It's gonna be your production guy. All right. And let's kind of look at what this. I hate to keep dragging this thing over here, but let's look at this right here. Let's see what production is. And this is right here is through the National Association of Home Builders, guys, which I suggest that you guys just go ahead and pay your dues and become a member. But a production builder are the home builders who build communities. This is going to be your D.R. Hortons and people like these guys, right? Clayton Homes and stuff like that. These are your big builders, national builders, kind of like production cars and stuff like that. So they own the land they are building on and usually have a say in how the community has been developed and what sorts of amenities are in that community. And now, guys, when you look at the custom guys, they're actually developing the whole community. They're doing that. Sometimes they'll hire a guy to come in and develop it for them. And then these guys are actually developing the communities themselves. Guys, prior to me, when I first came into the building game, guys, I came in when a developer would go out here, they would develop the land. And in that land, they'll probably have about, let's just say they have 30 lots. And they'll sell those lots to the builders. The builders will buy the lots in bulk. So the builders go into what they call a draft. A lot draw. And you pick the lots. Now the big dog builder, he's gonna cherry pick the best lots. I think that's kind of how it goes. You get the first picks. It's kind of like a draft, guys. It's kind of weird. But during that time, you might have had in that community, if you got 30 lots, you might have had only 3 builders. Okay. And each of those builders, they would go get a loan from the bank and they'll be able to purchase 10 of those lots. So each one of them have 10 lots. And they'll draw, pick who get what lots, try to make it fair. So one builder don't get all the thoroughbred lots and another builder don't get all the dog lots, because you get a dog lot, you got to put more money into the lot itself. So you're actually losing money unless the developer wants to sell it at a lower price, which they typically don't do. They want to get everything out of each lot. And so you go in there, and then not only that, the developer go in there, they'll hire a real estate team. Usually they have their own team or somebody he has a deal with, and that team actually responsible for selling all the houses regardless of who the builder is. They're supposed to look at everything equal, which we know that that's not equal as well. But that was a way that the developer actually still get 1% of the fee for developing the subdivision. So he get 1% marketing, and then each agent get 2.5, and if the agent bring both of them in, they get 5%. Okay, so that was how that worked, guys. So a builder like myself, a custom guy, can go in and buy 10 lots. And some of the houses he can do build a suit. He can take some of them custom, or he can just build some spec homes. And guys, if you guys don't remember, spec home is when I just, as a builder, go out there, I get a loan from the bank, I build a house, and then you come in at the end and you purchase it, which I think is the best way to do it in today's market. So that's what you had back then, guys. You don't have that anymore, because what has happened is the production guys, like these guys right here, they have came in, and these production builders have pretty much, they're doing all the developing themselves, or they have their own developing team. These guys come in like these because they got the money and the resources to do it. They have built a big giant machine, and that machine is actually making enough money to be able to buy and do more than just your little guys. So, and then it also makes it harder. So people who trying to build, like if you're not trying to build a monstrosity of a house or a Mac mansion, and you just want to be in your average price range, $300,000 house, you can't find lots inside of a neighborhood that you can purchase and you can have a custom builder to come do. So you're stuck with going in today's market. You're stuck with going with these production guys. Now let me just say something about these guys. Now, I didn't. Did I read the definition? I don't think I read the definition. Production builders are the home builders who build communities. So we talked about that. Home buyers looking at a home in production builders communities will usually have a model home or a series of homes to tour on site or in a community nearby. During the tour, the builder's agents will explain which features of the homes are standard. There's no additional costs and which are optional. So that's another thing they do too. See, the key with the custom guys, is you have to understand your costs. I'm not custom, but production. In production, you better know your costs. Custom, you better know your costs too, guys. You really need to know your costs and all of it. Because guys are getting in trouble now with this custom stuff. You know, you go out here and you try to quote something, and you just can't really hit those numbers the way you want to hit it. But you really need to be in the ballpark of it. But in the production side, guys, you better know your costs. You better know that cost, and that's what they do. They have, and that's why they control what style house you're gonna get. They may have 4 or 5 different houses, and they reverse them. They use different colors and stuff, and they scatter those houses throughout their community. But one thing they do know is that we've already built this house 3 or 4 times, so I know my costs and I know what's involved in building that house. So you have to understand your costs. And not only that, you can control the subs. You know what the subs should be charging. You don't have these subs coming in, throwing you these bogus numbers or writing these bogus invoices and send them to you. And then you just pay it. So you don't have to deal with that as well. So this is what it's about, guys. So this is what the production guys. Now here's some, the good thing about the custom guys is you control everything. Leverage and control means everything when you do. If you got a disgruntled customer that comes in that gives you a problem or gives you a nightmare and they're just overly picky and you just can't get this right here right. Hey, look, this ain't your house. You go to another neighborhood and you find your house. You can do that as a production guy. That one customer is not going to kill you. Now, if you build up a reputation of doing this right here and having disgruntled customers when people move into the houses, now that will slowly deteriorate your company. So, but from a builder standpoint, the good thing about production is that you control everything. You control the dice. I mean, you control everything that happens. You control the community. You control the house. You can control your customers to a degree. You can pick your customers. You don't have to just take a customer because, as a custom guy, you sometimes you got to take what you can get if that's the only thing you're doing. But in the production side, if you got enough customers coming through, man, you can kind of gauge what customers you want to deal with and which one you don't. And like I say, guys, as a builder, man, everybody's not going to be your customer. This thing is not like McDonald's or Burger King or something. Sometimes you just got to look at that customer, vet them, and listen to them. And as a custom builder, I may have to say, hey, look, I can, I'm gonna pass on this one right here because it's better to miss out on a good deal than to buy into a bad one. So those are the pros on the production side. Now on the cons on the production side is that if the overall market is doing really, really bad, you have created a monster. You created this big company. You got payroll. You got people working for you. Guys, I work for a production company. I work for America's Home Place. I don't know if you guys remember that. They still open. Let me see if I can see America's Home Place. And America's Home Place. There we go, right there. But they're still around. They're not in. This is the branch that I actually work for right here. The one that's over in Tuscany. They closed this one down. They just couldn't quite get that thing going in this area, but they're still national. And they were good. I mean, they had a nice market. They did scattered lots, which I liked the way they did that. And I knew that was going to happen. Man. So hold on just a second. I got to get back and grab this thing again. And there we go. Sometimes it does that every once in a while. But I work for that. I work for that custom builder. And it's a little bit different, man. The thing about it, man, you create a machine that you have to keep feeding it, and you have payroll at the end of the day. So if you're going through a month or a cycle, or so you go through a quarter where you didn't make any profit, these people, you got to keep these people on staff. They got to get paid. And so you can go into the hole. Now, if you go through another cycle, I mean, man, you got to start shutting some doors down. And that's just not a fun thing. And, the bottom line is you create a animal that you got to keep feeding. And so, we can look at these guys. And here's another thing, guys. We look at these big custom builders and stuff, and they make a whole lot of money. See, we on the outside looking in. We don't know what's really going on with these guys for real. We on the outside looking in. We don't know what kind of debt they're in. And here's the thing: some of those guys probably could just be breaking even every month, or every quarter, or every cycle they have. You just don't know. So those are some of the. I think that within itself is something that could be a problem. If you're trying to do a production guy, I like the production. I think that's the way. If we're gonna survive, I think the days of the custom builders is almost over with, because they are creating. Government is getting involved. It's so much government, so much red tape is getting involved. They're making it almost impossible for custom builders to exist. With regulations and stuff like that. Very similar to what happened, guys, back in the day with the car industry, guys. I don't know if you guys knew this, but back in the day, there were more than just Ford, GMC, and all those guys making cars. You might have had several hundreds of car companies they had a garage, they made their own cars. But when the government got involved and started setting all these expectations and regulations, instead of letting free enterprise in the market control itself, the government jumped in there. If you look at good products now, guys, you don't need the biggest fan to those products are the people who are buying those products. Your biggest salesman, the biggest salesmen to those products are the people who actually buy the products and they really like the product. Those people will say, you don't even have to do commercials. When you look at it, how many Mac commercials have you guys seen? How many Tesla commercials have you guys seen? How many? Well, you're just starting to see iPhone because the patent is over with. So now they gotta push theirs because Samsung is kind of headbutting them a little bit. But prior to that, you didn't see Mac commercials or you didn't see Tesla commercials and stuff like that. What else? The other one? There's a couple of more companies and stuff. They don't have to do any commercials because the market itself determined that because they had such a great product and people like the product to the people would sell it. So if it is a bad product, guess what? People won't buy it. If you have a car that they didn't put any seat belts in it and they didn't make it safe, yeah, some people are gonna probably die and stuff like that. But then who wants to buy those cars? People then they're gonna get it. Oh man, you drive one of those cars, you're gonna die. So that's gonna kill them. You don't need government to handle that, But this is what's happening, guys. I think that in a nutshell, this is going on. I think eventually we're not going to be able to. The custom builders are going to be. There's going to be so much regulations and government regulations because it's taking longer and longer to build houses. I actually think, there are some downsides to the production method of building, but the control, the leverage, and not only that, guys, if you got enough money and you build enough revenue, I hate to say it, guys, you got control of the legislation within those municipalities. You starting to control them now. You look at how many houses. I hate to use this. There's a particular builder in Hoover that builds probably 80% of the houses in Hoover. You can't tell me and see when you build houses in Hoover, to Hoover, Alabama, when you build those houses, each one of those houses have to, they have a tax base that generates revenue for the municipality. This is how these guys get paid. So you can't tell me that if this builder is building 80% of the houses in Hoover or Irondale, if we go to Irondale and you got these builders over here that's building 80% of the houses, you're not going to tell me they don't have any impact on the legislation in that municipality. Don't tell me they can't go to that mayor and say, hey, look, if you guys keep doing this, that, and the other, we're going to do this right here. Guys, I know, I've seen it. I used to be the building official of Alabaster. There was 2 or 3 builders in Alabaster that had a problem with me as the building official because I was enforcing stuff that they felt like that I was enforcing too much. And those guys had very good connections with the mayor and the city manager and stuff like that. I woke up and didn't have a job. They hired somebody else. This is how it works. So the production guys, yeah, you got to deal with, government regulations and stuff like that as well. But you can that control and that leverage. Now, one thing that you can fall prey to, you can fall victim to, is the economy. We can't control that. That's something that those are things that you really got to pay attention to, and that determines how much you build and how much land you go out and buy. Okay. The next one, guys, I don't think I have anything on this guy right here. Let me see. I don't think I don't have anything. But now I say that a better way to do things would be to do somewhat of a hybrid. And that's always a good option too. If I had to, if I can build, because production company would take years to build. I'm going to do this thing in 2 segments, guys. But the production, it takes a long time to build that momentum and get it to the point to where you got that leverage and control. But now, if you're just coming out the blocks, you're a custom builder, I think one thing that you should look at is semi-custom. Semi-custom is a little bit of the both. You build the homes, but you may allow the homeowner to come pick. Say, for instance, you've already picked all the light fixtures. They just pick the color. So you might have oil rub bronze, brushed nickel, and satin, or whatever you pick. But we already bought all the fixtures. You just pick the color you want. Now, we already bought all the tile. You pick which one you're going to use. That's a better. We already got all the house plans, very similar to the production. We already got the 4 different house plans. You can pick one of these floor plans that'll fit you, but we're not going to change it. It's kind of like a semi-custom. That's probably the best way to do it, guys. And so you can also develop those too. So you can have somebody go develop that portion of it, because if that's not what you do all the time. You can have somebody develop and then you keep that thing moving. You guys, hey man, y'all hit the like button and hit the dislike button. Let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna have to do this right here in 2 segments. This is part 1. Reason being is because I'm running out of time. I got a class and get ready to teach, and I'm gonna cover the types of contracts on part 2. But think about these right here, these different type of buildings, and I think we can't. We really got to look at these contracts and how those things are established in order to piece all of this stuff together. All right, guys, and you guys, I'll see you guys on part 2.